So over the last few years, there have been some news articles about building entirely new advanced cities. You may have heard of, in 2017, Bill Gates buying 24,000 acres of land for $80 million US for a possible Belmont city outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Or Toyota's 175-acre hydrogen-powered test city, Woven, at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, where construction actually already started earlier this year. Then there is also NEOM, the most ambitious city proposed by Saudi Arabia's crown prince, covering over 25,000 square kilometers and costing an estimated $500 billion. So though being built in different countries, at different stages of construction or planning, and facing different issues and delays, these cities are being built from the ground up, having one significant thing in common. They will implement the latest smart city technologies to automate most services and jobs performed in traditional cities today. So for example, in the initial section of NEOM, this is the first city section called The Line, the planned 1 million inhabitant, 170 kilometer city plans to exclude traditional forms of transportation altogether. This means no streets and no cars. Instead, a pedestrian-focused perspective will connect community hubs via automated train services. So walkability will define the life of The Line, with all essential daily services such as schools, medical clinics, leisure facilities, as well as green spaces being within a 5-minute walk. This is from the initial press release of The Line, which came out earlier this year. So moving back to Woven City, this city will actually include various autonomous vehicles, but its homes will include robots to assist with daily living. Another interesting fact for NEOM, though, was that in the initial press release, it claimed that there would be actually most likely to be more robots than actual human citizens in the city itself. And of course, finally, smart street lighting, waste and energy management, and healthcare will also be connected through a citywide network managed by artificial intelligence. I think that this is really where we see the next step in smart cities, right? The birth of something called the cognitive city. With the implementation of AI into the city's management system, the city can steadily learn how to become more efficient, more sustainable, and more resilient over time. This can be done through constant analysis of the interaction between residents, automated systems, and the city overall through the plethora of sensors gathering data on all of these kinds of interactions. I think it's needless to say, the bulk of city jobs today that offer employment opportunities for the lower skilled segments of the population will not be available in the cities of the future. So in Barcelona alone, where I live, the city has some 5,000 street cleaning and rubbish removal employees. Not to mention all the bus and taxi drivers, last mile delivery workers, etc. There's an argument to really be made about, of course, the lowered preference of working these jobs compared to the more highly skilled jobs of a data analyst or remote operations monitor, which will, of course, be in much greater demand in these cognitive cities. But I think it is much more likely that the sheer number of higher skilled jobs will not make up for the difference in the jobs that are lost. So this can be a serious issue for large segments of urban populations that find their source of income to simply be non-existent in the cognitive cities of the future, and of course might lead to greater degrees of inequality where only certain groups of people can afford to live in these cities. And I think this is even further compounded when we take into consideration the mega trend that was discussed at the beginning, where some 75% of all people on the planet will be living in cities in the next 30 years or so. So hopefully this transition occurs over enough time to allow the training and upskilling programs within cities to make citizens relevant for these new cities. But finally, I think that there's an even greater issue that is really not very apparent when discussing these future cities.